I think we have a really good program today to talk about, and I just can't wait to just open the door and run through it. But first, remind our friends how they can remain in touch with us and to know that something is coming up.
Well, we definitely want you to share this program, and we want you to subscribe to this program. Go ahead right now and subscribe to the program, and you can hit the notification button right now. Go ahead and hit the button. It's the bell, and you will be notified when things are coming up. You'll be notified when there's new programs and everything going on.
And this podcast is entitled Unscripted with Owen and Tammy.
That's me.
And today we're going to talk about Tammy a little bit. Let's get to you. I think that we've got some.
This could be good or it could be bad because, I have a little street credibility because of my salvation.
Yeah?
Not many people have street credibility because of their salvation, but I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe we could just back up before we get to the meat of it and just because our backgrounds are different. I mean, they're similar. We went to a family gathering for your grandmother who just recently turned 97.
Yeah.
Your mother's mom.
Still alive and kicking.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna, like they say, you're gonna have to knock her in the head on Judgment Day, because she's just, everybody's saying she's going, but she never goes, and she looked good. She looked great. Thank God for that. But on your mom's side, you're originally from your mom's side. They're from Delacroix Island, Louisiana,
and they came from Canary Island, Spain.
The original folks came over. They immigrated from the Canary Islands, which is a small island that's owned by Spain. So it's actually Spanish.
Right
off the coast of Africa. And they came to America because at one time, Louisiana was under Spanish rule.
Right.
So those folks came looking for a new opportunity. By the time they got to Louisiana, it was French rule again. It had gone back into the French. And but they settled in Lower St. Bernard, which is where you're
Delacroix
Island, and it's a fishing
down the road.
Down the road, it's fishing community, shrimping, and it's a unique culture, and that's where your mom is. And we have an interesting story. Before we get into your other story, we're from
There's so many stories. God,
we're from two different worlds.
Oh yeah,
but we're actually from the same world.
Isn't it amazing?
Now, my last name, obviously, is McManus. Your maiden name was Pullman.
Yep.
All right. So we didn't know much.
That seems like two separate.
We actually met in church, and that's what you'll talk about that at the moment, because that's what I want to ask you. But when you and I were dating, a close relative on my mom's side passed away, and you took a ride with my mom to go to attend the wake.
Just to kind of drive her and be with her.
And when you walked into the funeral home, you knew as many people there.
It was my family.
That was your family.
But it was your family.
But it was my family.
Uh-oh.
And we were like, oh, wow. You came back, you said, I think we're related. I said, I don't know if that's good or not.
Because my grandmother's maiden name is Mellarine. What's your grandmother's maiden name?
My grandmother on my mom's side, Mellarine.
Oh, my word.
Yes. And
Look at that.
And she was from Delacroix Island.
And she came over from
the Canary Islands, the Los Islanos.
So you McManus guys really like Canary Islanders, huh?
We like pretty women. So there you go.
Yeah.
Whether they're from, Spain or Canary Islands, whatever. But the point is that when you and I did our DNA, this is funny. Everybody's doing the DNA Ancestry.com and all of that.
Send off like your saliva.
And you find out where you're from. And
it's exciting, huh?
I think we kind of knew already because it just reaffirmed
family history and
that you're half Spanish and I'm a quarter Spanish because my mom was half like you. And then
my mother was 100%
English and Irish. And then you found out, I think you was shocked, you found out you might be a little Italian.
Yeah, I was like 17% Italian.
That's funny.
No wonder I like spaghetti and meatballs.
Like spaghetti and meatballs and pasta.
That sounds good now.
We got our results back. It gives you a list of people you might want to contact.
Uh-oh.
and yours came up. Contact this guy, Owen McManus. He's
Your closest relative.
closest relative.
It's like, that's my husband.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we might be fourth cousins or whatever.
It's safe.
So, but anyway, we met in church, so we didn't know each other. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything. And of course, our background's different, even though we have a similar ancestry background. But our actual life, we were two different worlds.
I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school.
Yeah, and I was Pentecostal, and
You did what Pentecostals
back
do.
in those days, Pentecostals and Catholics, well, we were civil, but I don't think people understood religion as much
No.
as we do today. And people were hostile to one another at times, which is sad because we're all believers and Christians. But anyway, you weren't walking with the Lord, and
Right.
you came to church your first time from an invitation
Yeah.
from my younger sister,
Candace.
Candace, and she brought you to church, which happened to be the first Sunday that I've ever spoke on a Sunday morning. And my dad was called to a church that was having some problems, and he went to help the church in Tennessee. And at the last minute, and I was asked to step in. Just 2
Did you
days.
pray and fast and
I
say,
fast.
Lord, send in the harvest.
Well,
Send in the harvest.
I wasn't praying for a wife, but I was praying, God, help me, use me,
Yeah.
do something.
See,
It's my
it
first
worked.
Sunday.
It worked.
And so, yeah, I was my first Sunday on my first time,
All right.
and you walked in.
I'm going to be very honest and vulnerable here.
Okay, be honest.
Just because I think it's important for people to know.
Okay.
When I came to church that first Sunday, I can't even remember what you preached. I'm just being honest where I
come
was
on.
in life.
You didn't remember anything I said?
Really don't. I do remember what happened to me because I responded to the Lord, but I had a hangover so bad. I remember sitting in church like, it's just funny because of what we do now, and now I'm the pastor's wife.
So you were drinking the night before?
Well, yeah. But I did get up and make it to church.
You did.
I mean, I drug myself to church, but yeah, it was
fine.
rough.
I
And I
mean,
sat
hey.
in church. I think it's pretty good that I sat in church, not feeling well. I had a rough night. And my point is, when you gave that altar call that
Yeah.
morning, I knew it was like the Lord put a rope around my heart. I responded to that, and I came to the altar, and I didn't have a clue because I've never been in a church like this before. I've never been given an opportunity to ask the Lord to forgive me of my sins, to come into my heart. But I did that morning, and my goodness, it was like my life completely changed
Right.
from that day forward. I really, God got a hold of my life. I was young, and I responded to the Lord. Everything I was into in my life before that day, I believe, was a response to my mom dying when I was 15 years old. And I was really trying to make myself happy, in a sense. I was trying to
Yeah.
get my joy back. I was trying to fill an emptiness that was there, and nothing worked. That's the bottom line. Nothing worked. I tried a lot of things, and nothing worked. And thank God, even if you come to church, whatever state you're in. That's why I never judge people. You know, you see people, and, you know, in today's world, everyone's so judgmental. I don't get that. It's like, who are you to judge?
Yeah.
I'm just going on a little rampage on people right now.
Yes, it's
Why are
okay.
you judging people? Who are you to judge people? Don't you remember what you came from? Don't you? I mean, all of us have had moments in our lives, right? And none of us are perfect. So it's like, keep the judgment out. So even when I see people in church on a Sunday and they're going through things, or they're having a rough time, whatever,
Yeah,
we're not to judge.
everybody
And,
has a story.
and I just know what the Lord can do in anyone's life. So anyhow, I come to church. God so transforms my life. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. Then, you know, a few weekends go by, and I'm not going out on weekends anymore. It's like my life changed that
Everything
much.
just-
I
everything
really
just
didn't have an
drastically
interest
changed.
in going out to a bar. I didn't have an interest in being with the same crowd. Like
Yeah.
it was like a new life, and I loved my new life. And I remember my dad coming in my bedroom, and I'm sitting there trying to read the Bible. I can't even find Genesis in the Bible at this
Yeah.
stage. It's all new to me. And I'm trying to just grasp the Bible. Well, my dad opens, you would think, seeing someone, a young girl with her Bible in her hand, that you would get happy about that as a parent. My dad really was not happy about that.
Right.
He was like, why are you not going out? Are you sick? And I said, no, sir, I'm just staying home tonight, reading the word. And he said, he got a little angry about that. And he's like, what's going on in your life? And I had to tell him what happened, that God changed my life. And I went to this church, well, because it was a church, I believe, that's not Catholic.
Yeah.
That just caused a lot of conflict because my dad really didn't understand exactly what was going on. And I think he perceived everything differently. So my dad actually gave me an ultimatum. He was going out of town, and he said, listen, if you decide to keep going to that church, then you make sure when I come back that you pack everything you own and be gone.
Right.
So I sat in my bed, and my dad was gone, and I had to make a decision. And in my simple way of talking to God, because I'm new to this, I didn't even know how to talk to God. I just said, Lord, you heard what my dad said, now tell me what to do. And
Right.
as sure as I'm living, I heard 2 words, which was follow me.
Follow me. Yeah. I remember you saying
And
that.
God said, follow me. And I knew it was the Lord. And I said, okay. So I had to pack everything I owned, which you remember, it wasn't much.
Wasn't a whole lot.
I had 2 bags
Yeah.
of clothes, 2 bags. That was everything I owned. And I had $20 bill in my pocket. And I said, Lord, I'm going to follow you. And I left that day. And thank God, just because people are probably wondering, the Lord really restored my dad and I's relationship. And my dad completely understands now what happened in my life. In fact, he's had an experience with God, so he understands.
But what about, in those moments though, Tammy, that all of us will face adversity
In different ways.
in different ways. And there you are. You're not a young Christian. I mean, you're an infant.
Oh, baby.
You are like days old.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to be spoon-fed,
Yeah.
bottle-fed, cared
Yeah.
for, all of those things, and yet severe opposition.
Severe.
And we know today, we know the rest of the story, in which we will probably get into that, because we don't want to shed any bad, negative light on anyone. But the truth was that you had a lot of opposition.
A lot.
How did you overcome? Because I mean, look, we've been married 30 years. I was there with you when you went through that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people accused you and I of a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get into all of that. We weren't even really dating. Mm-hmm. We were just friends. Did I like you? Yeah. Did you like me? I think so. Yeah. But at the time, you're just all by yourself, basically. I'm helping you. Mm-hmm. And I remember you calling me one night and you said, listen, I'm going to leave because I've been given this ultimatum. And I tried to talk you out of it. Mm-hmm. I said, are you serious? No, you don't want to do that. And you're like, look, it's that serious. I said, no, you need to make up your mind. You really want this? I mean, I'm trying to, here I am. I should be telling you, I don't know, maybe, no, get out of that. And I'm trying to get you to stay there. I'm like, don't do that, Tammy. That's a whole lot. That's bad. Or you said, I don't really have a choice. How did you personally on the inside, what were you, with the adversity, how do you overcome that?
There was no question in my mind. When God touches your life, you cannot deny it. When God really gets a hold of your life, it's undeniable. If I only wish, I feel sorry for people. I wouldn't want to go back and go through what I went through again and have that same emptiness and the same things in my life that I was trying to fill the emptiness with. But I almost wish everybody had some kind of experience that you know what it is
Right.
to be in darkness, that you know what it is to be with a life of no hope. Now, that's a terrible place to be, but when you do get a hold of hope, when you do get a hold of joy, when you do get a hold of the Lord really becomes the center of your life, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
I knew the Lord touched my life. I knew
Yeah.
that the Lord changed my life. And I was willing, I can't help but think of when Jesus embraced his cross.
Yeah, I remember when you initially got touched, and you got an initial persecution, or you had some obstacles or some adversity. You kind of backed off a little bit,
Yeah.
and then a few months later, you showed back up in church, and this is when the saga began. You were like, "I'm not going back.
No.
I've tried to work it out," but you found a strength on the inside, and you told me, you said, "Listen, I'm going to do this."
Yes.
And you stepped out. I really don't know.
Now, when that happened,
I don't even know if I would have been able to do that.
a little more happened. Because when I left home, then word got back I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And the school called me and they said, you are pretty much like expelled.
They put you out of school.
And I'm like, why am
Because
I
you were considered
expelled?
a
Because I
runaway.
got saved. And they said, you're not allowed to come to school here anymore. So
Yeah.
the school kicked me out.
They put you out.
Here's where the street credibility comes in. So then I was so excited to get water baptized. And when I got water baptized, I think it was like the next day, the cops showed up on the church grounds. The NOPD. I mean, that's amazing, right?
Well, I mean, you had just given your heart to the Lord.
Yes.
You go through water baptism. The next day, because you were frequenting around the church, they sent the police to the church to commit you.
Yes,
The police showed up
with papers.
with papers from the coroner. That's who issues
Yes.
those orders, that you needed to be picked up for a 72-hour evaluation, because
Nobody changes that much.
because you were considered having gone through some psychological transformation that is not normal.
Right.
And so you went through that. And
Yeah.
we kind of, you and I drove up that day, and we were warned, and we cut out, and we tried to handle ourselves, went back and found my parents who knew the coroner,
Yeah.
and we went down to visit the coroner.
Yeah.
So we didn't run from the law.
No.
We just tried, because sometimes everyone involved doesn't understand what's going on.
Exactly.
And it was such a traumatic, again,
It was a lot of
here we go.
chaos.
This is not normal. All right.
It's a little unscripted.
This is extreme.
Yeah.
This is extreme. Through much persecution, says in Acts, we enter the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Now, we could say today, you would be, Tammy wasn't doing anything that was out of the ordinary. Actually, she was reforming her life. Some things that she was doing she wasn't proud of, she was changing, and because she was going in the righteous way,
Right.
everything comes against you. As long as you were going in the other way, down the broad way,
Everything was fine.
everything was okay. But as soon as you decide to make a full reverse turn,
Right.
everything that could come against you started coming against you, to the point where law enforcement now was involved.
That's right.
And you had to, again, reach down. And I can remember you and I, with my parents, we went down to see the coroner. And the coroner, who was the coroner in New Orleans for many years, we didn't get a chance to see him, but his associate. And he knew the case.
Yeah.
And we said to him,
I got saved.
"This is Tammy Pohlman, and we're coming to you because we realize that there is a order for her to be picked up and evaluated. we're coming to you saying that she doesn't need evaluation. Here's where we are. This is religious persecution.
Yeah.
And the coroner, the associate coroner or assistant, I don't know how they would term, he said to you, I completely understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I just recently received Christ into my life. And his response to us was, if you'll sign this paper, we can reverse this order and have those who sign the papers to be evaluated.
We said, no.
We said, no, we don't want eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
No.
We're not trying to get back at anybody. We just want people to lay off.
Yes.
Get off of our back.
Right.
Leave her alone. Now, see, we did it the legal way. We were praying, but we did it right. And I can remember that man said, wow, that day he told you, he said, you really are Christian. He said, most people would do the opposite. They would sign this and have the others evaluated. We didn't want trouble. But I think all of how you handled yourself through all the adversity, it determines the outcome that you live today. Now, let me ask you this. What would you have done if you hadn't gone through the adversity? What did the adversity cause to happen in your life?
I think the adversity caused me to become my maturity in the Lord, I think, was progressed a little faster than the norm.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I'm thrusted into this life, and then I had to overcome so much, like you said. And then, I just became so close to like your parents and close people in the church that I think the discipleship process for me was a little quicker. We really got married a lot faster sooner than I think would have happened because of that. Now we know it was all the Lord.
It was God. It was a setup.
His hand on it.
But I think the extreme adversity causes us to do one or two things.
It's like pressure.
To either run and hide
or get closer.
To face it and get real.
Yeah.
You get real with God.
Absolutely.
See, like in my case, I came from the other. I was born in church. I was born in a preacher's home.
Yeah.
And I saw everything on a bed of ease.
Right.
I didn't have a dramatic, I once was lost and now I'm found.
Right.
I did have a moment where I was actually born again, and I can remember that date. I can remember when it happened, but I had people celebrating me. I had people praying. Praying, please, God, if we need sanity in our life, save Owen.
Yes.
Where in your case, you're saved. And they're like, please bring Tammy back into a life of hedonism and rebellion and craziness and lasciviousness.
Yes.
Go back. You're like, all New Orleanians are lascivious, man. We're raised in party town. This is the party town USA.
I don't miss a hangover for anything. That is miserable.
But you're not celebrated because you're doing the right thing.
Yes.
You are persecuted for doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, when things get tough,
pressure breaks pipes, right?
Cave in.
They cave.
I think we need to recognize
that the Lord
God's hand in adversity.
Knew my destiny was to be your wife. He knew a lot of battles we would have to face together. And the Lord, through my life, even when it goes back to even before I was saved, with my mom dying at 15, somehow I was always built tough. And I think through the persecution, I just was like a tough believer. Like I was tough. I can face things. I can go through things. We've been through so many things.
I think you got in over your head.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a moment when an aircraft, a plane, a jet is taken off in a runway and has to get to 180 to 200 miles an hour for lift. When they're down that runway and they get to a point where they are committed.
Yeah.
They either have to go up or crash.
Correct.
And I think that so many Christians and I don't want to say so many, but many do get to a place where God brings them to a place of commitment, and it's gotten tough.
Yeah.
That they burn. They crash and burn instead of saying, God, just lift me up. Let's just go. You did that. Blind faith, 18 years old. You just said, I'm following God. I'm going for it.
It's really,
and you did it.
It's really
you did it.
A word we don't hear much anymore in the Christian walk. It's really a place of surrender.
Total committed surrender, let
Surrender.
go, let God.
Yes. That
Let
you
go.
say, this isn't really my life anymore. That's what happens in baptism. Actually, we bury the old and we come up anew.
Let me ask you this. If you had not found the Lord on that day, now you found the Lord.
Yeah.
You found the Lord, but now persecution arises. It's like children of Israel, they've been delivered from Egypt, but now they have to go through the Red Sea and Pharaoh's chasing them.
Yeah.
The chase don't begin until you get saved.
Right.
But how many people are afraid to go across the Red Sea? Let me ask you this. You meet Jesus on a Sunday, God touches you, you knew it. What if you don't make the decision that you made? Where would you be today?
I hate to even think about it. Because I would have probably gone off for college, and God only knows where I'd be today. And, like a lot of people, they live a life with no purpose, no joy. There's a lot of people who even have money and what we call success, yet they have no joy, no fulfillment, I love living a life that it doesn't matter what's going on. Even when things seem to go bad, there's still so much hope and so much joy, and we have a future, and it's still okay because
Right.
God's going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we live a problem-free life, because
No.
we have a lot of things that go
No,
on.
it rains on the just and the unjust. But purpose, destiny,
Yes.
calling of God.
Everywhere I go, even your sister, I spoke at your sister's church a few weeks ago, and when she's introducing me, and I hear this so much, even our doctor the other day made this comment, and I hear it a lot about me. And I say, you are just so happy. I'm not just happy because, oh gosh, I just won the lottery, or, things are just going right. But honestly, Owen, there is a joy of
Yeah.
having Jesus as the center of your life that really is unexplainable. I wish everybody, that's why everywhere I go, I try to tell people about the Lord and witness to them, because I really want the world and people to know that they can experience the same thing.
And even believers that believe in God, accepted Jesus, love the Holy Spirit, the triune God,
Yeah.
they get a little pressure, a little adversity, and they got to just fight through it
Yeah.
instead of giving in,
Yeah.
because that adversity will lead you to purpose.
Yeah.
And for you, I always say that when you went through those things and you just didn't turn back,
No.
it really divided you from your old life to your new life.
Absolutely.
If you're kind of on the fence, you never get a chance to break through to the other side. Adversity is not always bad. Do we pray for it? Never.
Right.
Difficult times, do we beg God for it? No. What crazy man would?
You know what's beautiful? After all that, years go by. We get married. I have Allie. She's an infant, and we were having an Easter musical
Yeah.
at the church. And I was in the musical, so I didn't know who I could have watch the baby while I'm in the musical. So I invited my dad, and I said, he and his wife,
Come watch the baby.
would you come while we do the musical, watch the baby? I'm in the musical. He said, absolutely. So I think the Lord used that. And my dad came that morning, and he watched the musical. And at the end, you gave an altar call. And how beautiful it was to see my dad respond to that altar call. And he was in the altar.
Yeah.
You prayed for him, and he experienced the Lord for himself. And I lost my mother. He lost his wife. I'm sure there was a lot of that same emptiness, that same pain, a lot of the same things I was going through, maybe a little differently, but on his level. And I watched him receive the Lord that day, and how God can just turn things around.
Now we know the Lord's words ring out even more. Father, forgive them.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know what to do with.
No.
But we know what you're doing.
Yes.
We know that in the midst of that, you're creating a scenario where we can grow.
Yes.
You're dividing us from the old to the new.
Yep.
But yet we can look forward after that. Because that was a little time. That was 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
That God then brought your dad to salvation, accepting that you were in the ministry. Now he's a fan.
Now we were at a family event a few weeks ago, and we've seen people we haven't seen in, decades, that kind of event. And he's just bragging to people. Did you see my daughter? She's a preacher. She's a pastor. And he's so proud.
Yeah.
But God has to bring you through sometimes.
Right. Now you're a witness. You know, that's the word martyr.
Yes.
Witness. We don't maybe sometimes go to the guillotine and our heads are chopped off, or we're put on a cross like some of the early apostles and confessors. Yet we do go through a type of persecution, as what you went through, adversity. But if we will just be faithful to surrender through it, God will vindicate.
I wonder how many people are listening or watching us right now on this podcast.
Adversity.
And they are just sitting back because they have been through pressure, and that pressure caused them to kind of step
back and give up. So
There's a lot of people.
I encourage you today.
Yes.
To endure. And you can endure only through, you had people surrounding you. You stayed faithful to the house of God. You had a prayer life. You're walking, even though you were a baby in Christ, you stayed close to your mentors and people that knew the Lord. And in due season, God brought you through.
Well, let me just say this.
For everybody.
Not only do you need the Lord in your life, that's
of course, that's number one.
Absolutely number one. But besides that, you need the church.
No doubt.
You have to stick close in the local church that God calls you to. I am an avid believer.
And a church where you're accountable.
Yes.
Not where you're just a number in the back row.
That's right.
But you are accountable to a spiritual director, advisor, somebody that can help you grow.
This walk was not meant to walk it alone.
No. So I think I pray we've helped some people.
Yes.
Remind them to subscribe. This has been ongoing. We're thankful for this opportunity to come and speak to you and encourage you. So if you'll just go to the button and
subscribe,
the bell,
you can hit the notification
and say, listen.
You can share this with other people.
And every time something happens, you'll get notified. Well, it's been awesome to be with you today. Have a great, great week. We'll see you next time here on Unscripted.